Yeah, we work in Austin. So if you're watching this on Restream and you're kind of wondering who this Drew guy is, what this is about, this is a remote show today, meaning I am here now in a conference room for this show. Look, I tried to go up on the roof, and I had this beautiful view, the Capitol building behind me, the sun was out, the building just looked magnificent. But look at me, people. I can't handle that sun. I was like starting to sweat and everything. I'm like, yeah, I can't handle this. So I'm Drew Wash. This is Domain to Profit, remote version, meaning you get this one camera, nothing moving, nothing fancy, but I get to come to Austin. Last time I was here was at NamesCon in 2020, beginning of NamesCon, beginning of January, I guess that was. So it's been a while, and that was my first time ever here. So I wanted to come back, and so here I am. I just got here. It's been a bright early morning, and now I get to do what I love to do: spend time with you, look over some domain names, and hopefully we find the steals. We're going to find some domain names today that are just an absolute steal. So, I said today's show is, steal these domain names. And I kind of was a little hesitant to put that out there because these are expired domain names. These are domain names that somebody owned, and then for whatever reason, they let them expire. So I was hesitant to say steal because at trade shows, we actually have people come up to us pretty frequently and say, hey, you got my towing domain, or you got and realistically what it was is they let it expire, we got it, and so on. But certainly not stealing, but the deals that we can get, the domains sometimes we find that we can just kick some butt with, that's what we're talking about. So if you're with me here, whether it's first time or the 60th time, it's probably about how many shows we've done, then go ahead, like this video, make sure you're subscribed, say hi in the chat, let me know where you are right now. Make sure you chat with all those others that are here as well, because they are like-minded people that are looking for domain names, looking to develop them, all great people. Say hi in the chat. This is Domain to Profit. I'm Drew Wash, and here we go. Austin version, let's get going.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Wash and get started right now.
Okay, I saw that I had Michael out here. Michael, howdy. Chaz, how's it going? I'm glad that you took out Facebook, man. You took out Facebook. Michael's over in New York. You're not typically in New York, right? You're traveling there this time. I want to say that I remember you being elsewhere. Hopefully I get this right, but Sheaf, awesome. Glad to have you here. In all the others that I see here sneaking in, make sure you do say hi in the chat, because the people that you're going to see there are top-notch people. They're just like us that are just looking to, here we go. Yeah, correct, from Scotland. So welcome and hanging out with us. And then we got Matt, which I'll share that he is fresh in from Hawaii, just back from there. And Mamet, hopefully I got that one right. Howdy as well. Howdy, because I'm in Texas, Austin. And Jason, wow, we got a bunch of people stopping in. So I appreciate it. With the chaos that is the internet today, we have all kinds of outages and things. And I was dealing with all kinds of tech issues. It was like, oh my gosh, am I even going to be able to get on? Luckily, here I am. And I'm with you. But I love it. But I'm not going to, I was sharing at the beginning, I was up on the roof here of this WeWork. I'm in a WeWork, which if you're familiar with these are shared office spaces. So I have a global membership. So pretty much anywhere I go, I can hop into a WeWork office. They have them in pretty much every major city. So a lot of times when you see me traveling, yeah, I have my room, which a lot of times I prefer to do my show in the room, but I'm not able to check in yet. So I was like, hey, we're going to go to WeWork and set up on the roof up there, and it was just gorgeous. But it was a freaking zillion degrees because it turns out Texas is hot. Hot, hot, hot. Yeah, and here you go, Matt. Yeah, you should have said aloha. So, yeah. Coming from Hawaii, you say aloha. Okay. So I am here in Texas. I hear a little bit of an echo. Hopefully it's not too horrible with what comes through to you and sound-wise. I'm running a whole new setup here in order to allow me to do this remote show. Not as fancy or as nice as what I usually have, but realistically, here's what I figured. I figure if I can come up with some great domain names and you manage to get something that you're like, wow, I missed that when I was looking through the list or whatever it is, and you find some domain name that you're like able to build a business, something tells me no matter how bad the sound is, no matter how basic the video quality is, you're going to be excited and the show is going to be worth it. So I'm going to share out my screen, which I believe is done like this. Okay. So we're over here on expireddomains.net. I show that this is going out. I do know that there's been times that I've tried to share out screens to where it did not work the way I had wanted it to. If that's the case, please just let me know in the chat that the screen's not working, although for the life of me, I'm not 100% sure what I can do about it. So the downside about being on one screen, so I'm on my laptop here, is I will probably be looking below the camera quite a bit, which I try not to do, but you know, it is what it is. Like I said, you'll forgive me. Okay, so here it is. We're over on expireddomains.net and expireddomains.net, free site. You should use it. Like, no matter what, like, hopefully you just use free expireddomains.net. It's a free site, allows you to search through hundreds of thousands of expiring domain names every single week. You should do it. If you look over here, you can see like millions of domain names, really, but we don't look through them all. But you can with expireddomains.net. We spend our time here on marketplace domains, and then typically here on GoDaddy Expired, which is what GD Expired is. Some other good ones, Dropcatch, or especially popular ones. But you can check out all these different lists. For the sake of the show, we have less than an hour to look through domains. I try to go to GoDaddy typically just because I know that there's going to be some good ones. Again, in order to get from, let's see how many domains we have here. In order to filter the 300,000 domain names that are currently expiring like this week on GoDaddy, we're going to get rid of the hot numbers, get rid of the hyphens. Typically, those aren't worth a damn anyways. We're going to concentrate on English words, 1 to 3 words. And then we're going to make sure that they end in the next 7 days. And then I'm going to go over to this additional tab up here and set it up for .com. And here we go. Now we're going to filter this down, and let's watch this number here as it goes from 200,000 down to 77,000. We're only going to get through 400 of them, 600 of them. So we'll see how many of them we actually get through. We'll see how it goes. So, okay, let me see. Just checking out on chat, trying to make sure. Let me see if I can expand this to get this to take up more of the, hopefully that works a little better for you. Okay, so what we're pretty much going to do is we're going to look to these domain names. We're not going to look to these domain names for just any cool domain. Sure, we might point them out. But what we're especially looking for are domain names that we can build a business on. And you'll see we can bid on these. They go up for auction. The highest price wins. And as a developer, you can typically pay more than somebody that's just buying it to try to sit on that domain name. So let's go digging. So if you see something that you think is perfect for development, and by development, we're talking about it doesn't matter what the idea is. The domain name gives you the idea. The domain name's telling you what it's supposed to be. Those are the kind of domain names we look at for domain to profit. If you have some genius idea and you think you can build something amazing, in those cases, chances are the domain name's not going to matter as much. We're looking for domain names that establish the business right off the bat. So you'll see once we find a couple what I'm referring to. Like Demo, that's more of a brand. If it was demo.com, could you imagine how awesome that would be? LED Master, Head Smart. So all of these domain names are domains that are expiring this week over on GoDaddy. And in most cases, digitaldealers.com. Let's click on this one here. This will allow me to show you a little bit of what appears on GoDaddy. So this one ends in 1 day. 1 day, 2 hours left. $165 is what it currently is. And Digital Dealer, what could be on that? Anything can be on any domain name. That's one of the things we talk about. The foundation of anything you build could be any domain name. So the answer a lot of times to the questions that I get on whether, so maybe you're wondering, what about what about non.com domain names, or what about alternative things? Those can be, you can build anything on any domain name. The domain names that we're looking for are domains that kind of tell you what should be on that domain name. And Jason's saying, let's put NFTs. Yeah, right now, I think maybe my next show may be like an NFT domain contrast and compare type show. Because if you follow me on Twitter, I've been getting more and more into it, but I don't want this to be like every other show that's kind of turning into an NFT fest. So Digital Dealers, well, maybe it could be NFTs. Maybe you could be dealing in artwork or something. I think of Digital Dealers being, man, that digital word certainly does make me think, digital art or something like that. I was kind of thinking something along the lines of Digital Dealers being something you compete against weed maps with. I don't like it as much because digital is what you're dealing. I don't know. You can say in the chat what you think it's for. To be quite honest, I'm striking out a little bit. And if I'm striking out, then that means it's probably not worth diving into too much. But that got us started. If you see something that, ooh, how about this? FastAutoLoans.com. Okay, we struck out on this one as well. This is the screen that we're going to get whenever a domain name's not active. So remember how I said these are expired domain names. In most cases, when this screen comes up, it means the person that was letting it expire saved it. They noticed it, they renewed it, and now it's no longer up for auction. This screen, you can actually even bid on a domain name. You can even win a domain name, and then they refund you your money because the domain name was renewed very last second. It's not very common, but it does happen. But what a great domain. That would have been fastautoloans.com. Wonder what's on that. So what we're going to do is here we go, ham radios. Let's see what's over here on hamradios.com. Okay, this one ends in 3 minutes. So if you got a couple $1,000s, and you want to get into an old school ham radio one, hopefully you're already in on it, because with 3 minutes left, this auction appears to be ending. Ham radios, I don't necessarily know. You can put each other's call signs on it, directory of people that still use these things, buy, sell used ham radios, as well as new ones. There's a lot you can do with the domain name because it is an exact match. I think, they probably have forums and various things that those who are interested in ham radios participate in. I don't know. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's something that they'd be striking out on. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. Matt's saying that his dad loves ham radios. I'm sure there's a reason it's going for several hundred or several $1,000s. If I had any interest in ham radios whatsoever, I would probably be in on this one as well. It's the exact match. If you're passionate about ham radios, my goodness, this is a great domain name for you. And you'll find great domain names, especially when there's passion behind them, tend to go for some money. We're going to move on. That got us a little bit started, though. We're getting warmed up. So one of the things I want to talk about while we look through domain names is something I've been playing with more and more, and that is renting domain names. Anybody out there rent? Anybody, do you rent domain names? So when you have a portfolio of domain names, I have, just over 1,000 domain names. You want to make money with these domains. I buy domains to develop them. I want to take it and develop that domain name. However, realistically, I can't get to all of them. 1,000 domain names, even if I'm turning out 10 a month or something, which I do not currently turn out 10 a month. Realistically, a lot of my domain names are still going to be undeveloped. Best ones go as a priority. So in that case, the question becomes, what do you do with the ones that are good, but you're not going to get to? Well, the thing I've been playing with is the idea of renting the domain names. In fact, I have one that's rented right now. And renting specifically, there's a place called dan.com that will allow you to sell your domain names. You can lease to own domain names, and they're adding a rental option as well. However, I use a place called Epic. Epic is EPIK. You're in the domain name industry, you might be familiar with Epic, but they are a registrar just like a GoDaddy. But they allow you to take your domain names, and then you have the option of, yes, selling the domain name, lease to own, but you can also set up a rental. They take a 9% commission each month, but you can set it up on a month-to-month rental or a 60-month rental. And I've been playing with the idea of renting more and more domains. And the idea being a promotion company. The idea being if I rent that domain name, then I get a monthly fee from it. And then if they ever want to buy it, they can pay my full price. So in many cases, my domain names are priced, 10,000 plus, 30,000 even for many domain names. But rather than forcing them to buy that, if they want to develop that domain name, in the case of this one domain name specifically, I'm renting it out to them. They just are paying me a small monthly fee, I think $110 a month. And then that price goes up 15% per year. And then, so I continue to grow the rental. But if I never get to that domain name, it's no harm, at least it's generating cash. 4 days, 23 hours, so 5 days left, promotioncompany.com. This is a good opportunity to hop over to SpyFu. So I just want to see what comes up when we do a search on SpyFu for promotion company. So SpyFu is a tool that allows you to see how many people are searching for things, similar keywords, just various different things. I like to use this to see what's going on with the domain name. What are similar domain names or keywords to what we're looking at? So in this case, promotion company. I took the domain name, the .com, and then just turned it into words, typed it in, and there's about 400 searches for this specific, or 400 monthly, visitors, people searching for this per month. You'll see music promotion companies gets 1,200, promotional companies 1,000. So some of those keywords are keywords you can possibly target as well with promotioncompany.com. Scrolling down a little bit more, what I want to look at is this little section here. You can see the search volume is 1,300 is what Google reports. SpyFu's number that we see up top here is they run that through, how Google has all those ads at the top? How they have all the ads, and a lot of times they have like a map and FAQs. Well, basically, because Google keeps all that freaking search traffic for themselves, what SpyFu has done is they've said, okay, yeah, Google says there's 1,300 searches for it, but in actuality, if you're looking for web traffic, you're only going to be able to get and compete for 400 clicks. That's why one of the things I love about SpyFu. But this data shows, so yeah, 1,300 searches is what Google's reporting, but you can tell there must be a lot of ads and things on this page. And you can see here, so advertisers, there's 9 advertisers targeting the keyword promotion company. That's good to see. I love it when I see this in double digits, but 9 still a pretty good number. So what that is telling us is that there are 9 advertisers paying Google right now to target that keyword. So if you look at this, what you can also see is they're paying up to $4.68 to target this keyword. So we have 9 people that are competitive, paying a good amount of money to target this keyword. That's what we like to see. Why do we like to see it? Because the higher the competition is for that keyword, the more likely some of those small businesses will be willing to say, hey, I'm paying all this money over to Google for promotioncompany.com. I want to I need an advantage. I need a way to not just dump all this money into Google. Well, in that case, we provide them that opportunity to, hey, promotioncompany.com. Now you can use this. You can gain some authority from it. Maybe we're only showing 2-3 companies and profiling those companies on it. That would be a manual site, nothing dynamic. A lot of times I talk about user-generated content where you let the users enter the content. But something like this may be something where you only allow 2-3 companies to participate, and you profile those companies. Then they can say, hey, a couple $100 a month, we're a featured promotion company on promotioncompany.com. Or you can go the directory route. The directory route would be where they can add their own company. They pay $20 to $100, $200 a month to list in that directory. They can add content, list all their products and services and things. You become a major piece of their web presence. They probably pay you less per month, but you can also expand it to every promotion company out there. So maybe there's promotion companies that deal in local fundraisers, in freebies and handouts. All of those could happen possibly here on promotioncompany.com. Not a bad domain name, really. Let's see what it's going for. Promotioncompany.com over on GoDaddy, ending in 5 days, is currently at $22. So if you deal in any kind of fundraising, anything like that, if $4 per click is what they're paying for ads, this is a pretty good one. If you have any into the promotion industry, that one might be a good place to start for you. So that's promotioncompany.com. That's a little bit of how domain to profit works. We look to expiring domain names. We find ones that are really good at indicating what they're made for. And then we talk about a business you can put up on it. So if you see something in here that I do not see, feel free to shout it out in chat, as well as if you see something, or if you have an idea that you would build on something. Again, it's not just for me. You're sharing it out to the dozen or so other people that are in the chat actively looking through these domain names with us. So I just was thinking, let me take Burbank Locksmith. I've not talked about geo domain names very often. Load. Pretty sure my internet's awesome here. I did a speed test earlier and it was kicking. Okay. GoDaddy must be following Facebook and stuff. So a lot of internet outages today. So BurbankLocksmith.com. I get a lot of questions about geo domain names. And a few weeks ago, LA.com, I featured that. That domain name is they're trying to sell it right now for like $5 million. We talked about geo domain names. This would be one. What's a geo domain name? Well, it's a location, like Burbank, and then a service. So what would you expect to find on BurbankLocksmith.com? Well, how about a small directory of 2, 3, 5 Burbank area locksmiths? $20 current bid, ending in 3 days, and we're going to take this over to SpyFu to see Isn't that right? Burbank, I think so. Notoriously horrible speller right here. So, okay. Um, Burbank, California locksmith, 165. This will be one that Google is going to show a lot of ads and local companies. Let's see what the competition is. Zero. That's interesting. Nobody's paying. It says that nobody's paying, so I'm not sure what's up with that. I'm guessing some are paying, but who knows? Here's what we're targeting, though. This locksmith near me. Well, if you're in Burbank, California, locksmith near me, when you search for that, is going to show Burbank-related websites. You build a website, put 2 to 5 Burbank locksmiths on it, so people can compare them. They can say they're featured on burbanklocksmith.com. You hopefully generate that 165. And you might think, oh, it's only 165 searches, which, yes, that's a low number. But 165 searches, if the advertisers were actually paying like anywhere close to this here, I mean, you're talking about a couple $1,000 worth of traffic if you can rank for Burbank locksmith on Google. But either way, that gives you some room to kind of say, hey, we're burbanklocksmith.com. Regardless of if you show up in the Google rankings or not, you have an authoritative domain name that you can share out with the Burbank locksmith. So that's what we're kind of going for. We're sharing that domain name with companies that would benefit it. I do not think, and you will never hear me say, actually, I don't like to speak in absolutes, but Burbank locksmith, I'm not trying to say you buy Burbank locksmith and then you go out to Burbank and open a locksmith company. That's not what we use these domain names for. Instead, what we do as domain developers, we buy the domain name and then we develop it in a way that shares it with the small local companies that will benefit from that domain name. And then we just ask them, just give us a little taste. Just give us a little bit of, monthly revenue or whatever it is. In some cases, it can be significant revenue. We're just asking for a piece of it to have, real estate ads, profiles on our domain names that benefit your company. There you go. Let's locksmith, Burbank locksmith. That would be the kind of the play that you would do. That's great for starters. If you're starting in this, if you're brand new to domain development, you may not want to take on a large project, like a towing.com. You may want to start with something local, get it to where you can make $1,000, $2,000 a month off of it, and then move on to whatever's next. Or try to work your way towards like a locksmiths.com or something like that. Who knows? Blockminers.com, that's a crypto type thing. Digital photography techniques. It could work, but I'm not liking it all that much. It's a great domain name. I just couldn't spell techniques. I don't know if it's a benefit or if it's a positive or a negative, the fact that I just cannot spell. Like, I think it makes me very self-aware of domain names that are potentially bad, hard to spell or whatnot. Research tracker. I kind of like that. I don't necessarily know what we would put on a researchtracker.com. That one's going to end in an hour, 30 minutes. So if you have an idea for Research Tracker, there's so much, let me just jump in on that a little bit. Okay. I doubt I'm going to get it, but researchtracker.com, I love those little, like those domains that are kind of specific. I can see it as a SaaS type of application. SaaS being, we take a domain name, we build a small tool to where maybe somebody can say, hey, we're researching or looking into this. They submit that, and then they just submit little status updates of what they found over time. Then people can maybe, log in and subscribe for updates and things. So maybe this could be everything from something super advanced, like cancer research, and maybe it's somebody that got a grant and they want to put their stuff on researchtracker.com. and you're interested in getting updates on that research, boom, it could be informal, just kind of like, hey, we've been running through trials A through whatever, and here's some results or something. So kind of a Twitter for specific research. Not sure how you'd make money. Maybe you can charge for featured projects or something, but it'd be cool. It'd be cool to build. I like that kind of thing for nothing other than just being a fun type of development. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's just about finding a cool domain name and developing it. Okay, let's see here. Tommy is asking, how come there are weird domain names that get several bids on GoDaddy auctions that are way beyond their valuation on SDBot and GoDaddy? Most sites get zero. So first of all, what he's talking about here, one of the sites that he's referring to is a site called SDBot. This is a site that you can type in a domain name and it will give you an appraised value. So if you type in, actually, I guess we could have done, what was the one we were, researchtracker.com. So if you were to take researchtracker.com, SDBot uses algorithms to kind of create an appraisal for it. They're saying it's worth approximately $210. This is just a completely it's not based on actual market stuff. So SDBot is just kind of, it just gives you a little bit of data. You can be burnt by it. If you think that number is accurate, you're going to make mistakes. Sometimes it's significantly higher, sometimes it's significantly lower. You can see actually right here, researchtracker.com used to be for sale on Afternic for $3,000. Nobody bought it. So, anyhow, SDBot's just a tool, just something that helps you out to get an idea of what it is. And it also gives you some tracking information down here. Has it sold before? Don't see anything in the past sales and similar comparable domain sales. Then it also looks at some search traffic and things like that. I have a SDBot account. I don't use it very often. But what he's asking here is, why would there be domain names that get high quality? And I just realized you couldn't see the SDBot. Here's what I found over on SDBot for Research Tracker. So when it comes down to appraisal tools like the appraisals that GoDaddy gives us, or the appraisals you get on an SDBot, those are they're just kind of guessing based on some data that they have. And specifically, why would some get bids or bids higher than that? The most common answer to Tommy's question here is, why are some domains just, like, I've seen weird ass domains go for tens of thousands of dollars. A lot of times just for search engine optimization reasons. Something we don't talk about here on the show very often, but if a site was developed in the past, if that site was developed, then it may have a lot of links that were coming into it. And those links can, in theory, benefit you if you develop a similar site on that domain name. Some of those domains or those links into you will help you rank well in Google. That is why some people pay a lot of money for them. I don't necessarily play that game. I think it's high risk. It's just GoDaddy says it doesn't benefit you. I'm sorry, yes, not GoDaddy. Google says it does not benefit you that way. And even though they have shown that it does benefit you, if GoDaddy's saying it does not, that means they want it to not benefit you. They just haven't figured out the technology the way to get it to stop benefiting you. So yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful. That's probably the most common reason, Tommy. It would be a search engine optimization domain. Or, in some cases, it only takes two people to bid up an auction. If two people really want a domain name, when we bought bartenders.com, I ended up paying around $50,000 for it. And it was only me and one other person from $13,000 up to $50,000. So it was only two people that got it to go up so high. He could have bailed at any time and I would have gotten it for way cheaper. But in that case, I really wanted it. And actually, in that case, 50,000 was my exact max. So like any bids past that, I wouldn't have gotten it. But I'm very glad to have it goes well with some of our other domain names that we're developing out. Hopefully as early as this year, but probably early next year as of this point. Specialtycontractor.com. A little bit on the generic side. See if there's any with the traffic. So one of the reasons I go to SpyFu on these is my gut will tell me one thing, but SpyFu shows me whether the data is, whether my gut is right or wrong. It gives me a little more data to back it up. When I see a domain name like this, I think, there could be something there. Type it into SpyFu, 165 monthly searches, nothing too spectacular, not seeing any really good, not seeing anything that really defines what a specialty contractor is. And then we're going to look down here. There's just nothing really going on with this domain name. So in that case, SpyFu said, hey, ignore me. Don't bother with it. Which is what we like to see. I like to see yes or no on these domain names. The gray area ones are where we get into trouble. Another locksmith domain name. That's interesting. Oh yeah, well there's page 1, 200 domain names down. Find any ones that are top notch. Check in with chat here a little bit. Saw Suresh come in from India. Awesome, nice to have you here with us. So we have, Michael from Scotland, who is now in New York City, and then Suresh over from India. Thanks for joining us. We have quite the international audience, and I try to keep that in mind. But no matter what, the beauty of this is, even though we primarily look for English domain names, you can apply this to any language. And .com worldwide is the primary. Scottsdale. You're right, Arizona. I knew that. So .com is the primary one. It's understood a little bit worldwide. A lot of countries do have their own country codes. They're mixed popularity. Some countries are heavy into their own country code. By that, for example, like UK uses, what do they use? .com, .uk or something like that. In those cases, .com is still a helpful domain name, but maybe not as big. In India specifically, I know they have .in, which I love as a country code, but I don't have any .in domains. But .com is king pretty much worldwide, especially in the United States, which is why we concentrate on that. And yeah, Michael's saying Scottsdale, not Scotland. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I know things, but doesn't mean I know things. So I was talking about rental a little bit, historical restorations. That sounds like a golden niche. I was talking about renting a little bit, and what I really like about it is the idea of cash flow. If we can generate a little bit of cash flow on a monthly basis, if that allows us to generate cash, but also get a domain name in the hands of somebody that will develop it, that's what I get excited about. I want domain names to be in the hands. So I don't know what it looks like, but what I'm going to probably try to do is, what I'm going to do is over at some point, I'm going to go through my portfolio and break them out into those I know I'm going to develop. And then all the other ones I'm going to be open to renting out to you, to anyone else, at pretty affordable rates. They won't financially make sense. So by that, I mean, they won't financially make sense for me. I may take a domain name we paid, $20,000 for and rent it out for $100, $150, $200 a month. So if you do the math on that, we'll never make our money back, but it will put that domain names in the hands of somebody that's developing it. And then of course, when you want to go buy it, you'll have to pay the full price for it, which would likely, if I bought it for $20,000, you'd probably be looking at about $100,000 for it. The idea being, what can we do to get more domain names developed? That's what we are out to do. Historical restorations expected to be something a little special, but I'm not really seeing anything. Um, this one right here, as you can see, historic restoration contractors. Uh, Historical restorations would be able to target that keyword pretty well in the search engines, as well as just people can put it on business cards. It's such a niche type of arena. So what you can do is put this domain name up, maybe allow people to submit their services. If you focus on historical restorations, you can have a profile on the domain name. There's not much traffic there, but something tells me there's actually, like, this could be a targeted thing. So here's what's the beauty of this being such low traffic. It ends tomorrow. It's $12 currently. So if you're watching this right now, please leave this for, I will not bid on this. My plans with this is if you're a new domain developer and you're kind of like, hey, let me try something new, this one could be a nice little hobby domain name that could make a few hundred, maybe up to $1,000 a month. It's most likely going to be a few $100s per month, a few thousand a year type of domain name. But if you catch fire, I could see this being a domain name that's big in a very precise niche industry. So maybe worth checking out. I like it as a directory. So, historical restorations. I used to own a, let me zoom in here. So I used to own a historical building. The office space that we had, that we just moved out of a few years back, was over 100 years old. Historical, used to be like a theater, and was pretty cool. Anyhow, historical building, and as we did things, it was in a historical zone. So whenever we did anything, we had to meet historical guidelines. Well, where do you find those kinds of people? I was Googling like crazy. It was not easy. So we have a problem. Where do you find people that deal with historical restorations? That's the problem. The solution is, well, we can develop a historicalrestorations.com. So whether you need somebody that does tuck pointing on historical brick buildings, color matching and painting of a historical building, whatever it is, they can all be registered and categorized, and you can organize and curate the content for historical restorations. And just like Peter asked you as the onion guy, I'm the towing guy, you could be the historical restorations, which is a pretty damn good thing. So you can steal that domain name. $12 currently. Certainly worth, if you're interested, going up to a little bit of money on it. Okay, continuing on. So what do you think? Historical restorations? If you get it, message me on Twitter. I'd love to know. Love to see what you do with it. Developers only, peeps. That is actually that's where I want these things to go. I want domains in the hands of developers. As my team knows, I kick myself for the fact that I cannot. I want to get domains developed, but soon. So Shepard's Jason is mentioned that I think the developers only comment directed. Not I know most of the people that watch Domain to Profit are looking for investment domains. Certainly not just you, Jason. You do whatever you'd like to on the domain name, but yes, I want them in the hands of developers, or if you get, it is what it is. It's a free market. I don't try to rig up the market at all, but I would love it if it gets in the hand. I want all domains to be in the hands of people that develop. I think we're all, as domain investors, better off if more domains are developed. If people start to learn that they can type it in, .com, what they're looking for, .com, into the search engines more frequently, we can possibly pull away at Google's, monopoly that they have going on. Cheap charter butcher school. I don't know what. Not feeling it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Michael's asking, am I ever disappointed that I've paid too much for a name? Yes. Well, I've been disappointed. There's two of them that come to mind. Two of my like worst domain names that I ever purchased. One is the one that my wife gets to tell me she told me so all the time, and that is movingcompany.com. Paid around $200,000 for that domain for movingcompany.com, and I think it's made around $9,000 in probably 10 plus years. Uh, Anyhow, oh, you're gonna be freaking kid. Yeah, this is my wife right here laughing at me. Freaking kick your butt. Anyhow, so yes, movingcompany.com is my wife told me so. She didn't want me to buy it. I was riding high. Towing.com was going well. We had some cash from things going well, and I'm like, oh, everything I'm touching is turning to gold. So I bought movingcompany.com, and now that is why she has the right to veto domain names, over a certain amount. So, yeah, trust your spouses. So, but then the other one is videosoftware.com, which I was showing earlier that SDBot appraised that domain name super high. In fact, let me go over to SDBot real quick. Let me show this because this is going to show you why you cannot just go with SDBot. Videosoftware.com. So back in the day, let's see what it appraises at now. So as you can see, videosoftware.com, SDBot is saying $238,000. I managed to get this domain name for $20,000. And I'm like, hell yeah, I got a great domain name. 1/10 the price of SDBot's appraisal. Bullshit, like horrible purchase. It was not worth $20,000. In fact, if anybody out there wants to buy videosoftware.com, I will sell it for what I paid, $20,000 for the domain name. But you just heard me say it is not worth $200,000. Why? I don't know. It never really was able to get any kind of traction. The type-in traffic was much lower than what SDBot expected it to be. Basically, the SDBot appraisal got me on that one. Lesson learned, $20,000 spent. That domain name, I don't think it barely even gets offers. So I'm not doing a very good job of selling it. It can certainly be developed, but okay, let's move on. So hopefully that answers your question there, Michael. So I certainly have paid a lot of money for the sake of learning all the lessons I've learned about domain names. Let me see here. Can't read this one until I put it up here, so hopefully it's nothing too bad. It's totally cool when you give approximate estimates on what kind of revenue a domain could make once developed. Is a nice framing of what's possible. And I mean, that's great. So Vile, I try to give some numbers. I try to give low numbers, to be quite honest. Domain names have so much more potential than what I ever even show you on this show. But you can absolutely, I believe nearly every domain name out there that I ever bring up, whether it's historical restorations, specialty contractor, like these domain names, as long as there's people paying in industries developed around these domains, like you can make money. You just have to find that angle. The domain name is your in. It is your in to an industry that you may not have any, you shouldn't be involved in that industry, but somehow you got the domain name. And if you're going to develop it, you can find people that want to pay you for it. So I try to do that occasionally. I'm glad that you appreciate it, but realistically, you can do more, but if you don't do the right things, it's going to be less. Like there's so many people that are anti-development because they've tried to develop something and it didn't catch on like wildfire and they gave up. Set your expectations low enough and then move from there. So I said historical restorations could be a couple hundred, a couple thousand a month. It could easily be a $10,000 a month type site too, if you freaking scrap it. and just work your ass off on it, yes, it can happen. So, and no, Michael's asking of us. I did not know about SpyFu when I bought it. So I wish I did. That's actually SpyFu is much of why I now know to. I have to check my intuition. I have to check myself before I wreck myself. Sorry, it happens sometimes. Uh, Tag near. We make art. Turkey consultant. I crack myself up. Some of the domain names that people have registered and stuff just always crack me up. And then people out there like will buy these and then hold on to them because they think they can sell them. I don't know. Bar funding. You can see over here, this column here is the date it was registered. So what is that? What's going on here? Thought that was the registration date. It's the date added. Huh. Okay, this is something changed here, didn't it? Kind of curious. Like, okay, this must be the registration date. So the first time it was coming in, what was that? Bar funding. So 2016 was when this domain name was first registered. So why does that matter? The first registered date lets you know if it's a recent thing or not. Does it always matter? No, it does not. Like sometimes old domains, like consider a domain name like cdrom.com. cdrom.com. I think it comes up for auction all the time. Nobody ever buys it. They want like 50,000 plus or something for it. And it's CD-ROM. Like the value is just going down. Who cares if it was registered back in 1990 something? It was an old school thing. Nobody even has freaking CD-ROMs all that often anymore. So that domain name, even though it's old, even though it used to be worth something, is just like pretty much not worth anything anymore. I probably wouldn't even pay like more than $2,000 for a domain name like CD-ROM. Best case scenario, in my opinion, would be fraudreports.com. Would be like CD-ROM being a tech blog or something like that. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I want to say that this domain name was on the list last week too, fraudreports.com. But they've renewed it. They're probably just fishing it out there a little bit. I really do wish that I could have been up on the roof. If you're kind of coming in late or whatnot, I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm currently at a WeWork. Whoa, don't spill my coffee everywhere, which I did spill it all over my laptop when I was upstairs. So luckily things are working. No one in my office is surprised that I did that. But I'm here in Austin, Texas, and I was up on the roof, had a great view over top of the Capitol building. In the thumbnail, the cover image for this on YouTube, you can kind of see the view that I had. The only thing is, it was freaking hot, and I'm a pale redhead, and I love you guys, but it's not worth all that. I don't want to get sunburnt just for showing you some domains. Okay, we're 400 domains into this here. 400 domain names in. Have you seen any good ones? Seen any crappy ones? Well, we've seen plenty of crappy ones. So next week I may talk a little bit, and I'd be curious. Tweet at me, and let me know. Should I talk about NFTs at all? I've been looking into them quite a bit, mostly because the technology has been kind of interesting to me, and if I did it, it would be for the sake of contrasting it with domain names. Okay, entirebuilding.com. So one of the things I look for when I look for domain names is common phrases. So we want to see domain names that people might say. One of the things that I believe is a need is there's a problem where commercial real estate's kind of hard to find. There's very few places out there. There's not like really an MLS like there is for residential stuff for commercial. So the commercial solutions out there are expensive, difficult, and just there's room for somebody to really do something crazy with it. Well, what if entire building was where you could list entire buildings for rent or for sale, focus on the commercial side, 3 days away, $12 current bid. Let's go over to our buddies over at SpyFu, which I say they're our buddies, but I use their free stuff. I don't even pay them any money, but hopefully I will at some point. I've been saying that for months now, though. Who knows? Maybe you can, but they have a great free service. That's what I'm using here. What I'm showing you is their free service. So check it out. Pay them money if you really use it. So no real search traffic happening on this. A bunch of garbage, kind of long phrase keywords for it. Okay, entire building. Checked it and moving on. Corn coins. Chiropractic offer. Owned or like entire building, but oh well. Oh wow, we are close to 4 o'clock. I just was noticing, like, I feel like I've been at this a little bit. Try to run through here. Let's find something. And Michael's saying yes to NFTs. What I may do is kind of pay attention. Make sure you subscribed if you've not already. Make sure you've subscribed over on YouTube. You can follow me over on Twitter where I tweet about NFTs and domain names as well as just whatever complaining I want to do because it's pretty much whatever I decide to post over there. But typically domains, NFT stuff. But I may do just a special show rather than domain to profit. If I can cross it over where domain to profit is somehow benefit and bring a way to talk about NFTs, I will. But this show is definitely about turning domain names into businesses that generate revenue. I think there's still more to be done in the NFT world with that. So there's not a clear crossover. What the heck are NFTs? Just so you know, NFTs are blockchain images. Blockchain, it's where novice people like me can get into blockchain stuff. You'll see people with images, cartoon characters, and things. Go Google it. You'll pretty quickly realize it's a little weird, but the technology behind it is freaking awesome. I've geeked out on it a little bit. I think the future is going to be NFTs are our user accounts, and they give us access to our different systems. And then if you want to trade out your access to something, you'll just sell off or trade your NFT, which is all on the blockchain. And there's a reason I don't talk about it much. It's a little outside of my pro zone. IndecentImages.com. IdealYachts.com. Okay, come on. Let's find one more. Let's find a home run domain name to end off with. And log hauler. Let's check it out. It's the bottom of the bunch. Log hauler. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it sounds like it could be one of those companies that do the log things, like super scary. Like you don't want to be behind one of these, like the trucks that do log hauling. 600 searches. Okay, we might have stumbled onto a little niche here, peeps. There's some advertisers paying six advertisers paying. Oh, cheap. They're not paying much. Don't necessarily like seeing that. It's one of the kind of ways you can look at it is if this was like 14 or 12, if we saw double digits here, then you could easily assume that you can like kind of get this per unique visitor to your site type of thing. But with 6 and cheap, logholler.com, my gut tells me there's not going to be much money spent on this. Transportation companies tend to be a little bit frugal. If by chance the public hires log haulers, then maybe you can pull off something. But I don't know. I'm known as a transportation domain name investor, and let's see what it's going for. Did I click on it yet? So $12, ending in 2 days. I'll go ahead and place a bid. I don't know if I'll continue with it, but I could see this domain name, 600 monthly searches. We see this over here. I'm guessing this is a brand that sells something called a log hauler and a log hauler truck. That's kind of goes with that transportation thing. So this means that you can maybe list places where you can buy and sell new and used log hauling equipment, as well as services to drag or truck transport log hauling. It just takes, when you deal with businesses, and this is an important piece actually. Let me end on this little bit of a Drew rant. A lot of times when I'm talking about developing these sites, I'm targeting businesses. I'm targeting small businesses, medium-sized businesses. Don't go after the big guys. If they're publicly traded, my God, they're going to put you under a pile of paperwork before you ever get paid. Don't mess with it. Deal with small guys, small businesses. If you can bring them business, if you can give them an advantage in the marketplace, if you can use your domain name to somehow benefit them, they are willing to pay $100 a month. Towing.com, $100 a month is what a towing company pays us. Now, we do a lot for them, but still, nonetheless, towing companies are really small companies, and they're willing to pay $100 a month. So what can you do with like a logholler.com to be worth $100 using that domain name to benefit people? It's very possible when you deal with businesses. Now, I don't deal with consumers very much, B2C, business to consumers websites. Consumers are a pain in the ass. When I put my consumer hat on, I hate spending money. I'm a very frugal person when it comes to day-to-day life. I just now recently bought a new cell phone. My old one was like freaking 7 years old or something like that. I'm just so frugal when I have my consumer hat on. You may be frugal as well. Most people are. But then you put on your business hat, and I'll drop $20,000 on a good domain name like that. I will buy a new laptop, buy new equipment, buy things, buy assets that can generate revenue. And I do it so much faster because I have my business hat on. That is why I tend to deal with businesses, bring value to businesses, and they will pay because they're freaking busy and they need your help. They will never tell you they need your help, but they value what others are doing that benefit them. And if you come at them with a great domain name, you'll find pretty quickly the conversation changes once you mention that premium authoritative domain name. You call a log hauler and tell them you own logholler.com. What? Wait. Okay. Well, what do you guys do? Like, the conversation opens. Suddenly you can talk to people in industries that you could not talk to prior to owning that domain name. That's why we do this each and every week. And that's why I will be back here next Monday as well to chat with you, look through premium domain names, and find something. Hopefully, like this week, we found some pretty good domain names that we can develop out. No amazing home runs, but little niche ones like the logholler.com, promotioncompany.com, hamradio.com, which already ended. Let's see, it went for, actually, is it still going? Oh, wow. Checking in on hamradio.com just before we leave here. Let's see. So I don't know if this is anybody here, just bringing some attention to it real quick. It's up over $4,000 for hamradios.com. Of course, if you're not watching this live, you are going to miss out on it because it's going to be ending here very shortly. So hamradios.com. Solid here, domain to profit. I will see you next week, Monday, 3 p.m. I'll be back in my home office with all my fancy bells and whistles. and talking domain names, as well as make sure you've subscribed to this just in case I go live with any NFT talk, which could happen next week as well. I love doing this. Thanks for hanging out with me. You can develop your domain names, change your life, change your possibilities in your world. Domains have changed my life. They can change yours too. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week. Take care.